Hey guys, good to see you again this week, and it's the game that everybody has circled on their calendar years ago, I guess, when this one popped up on the schedules, Georgia Alabama week. Um, Kevin Butler, Eric Zier here to give us their thoughts on this massive game on Saturday night at 8 o'clock in Tuscaloosa. Guys, top five matchup, top three matchup. Both teams are undefeated. First of all, I want you to kind of give me your thoughts on how you think Georgia is playing through three games thus far. Kevin, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm very pleased with how they're playing, Scott. I think that we've saw the improvement we needed to see in their offense from week one, week two to week three, and that's something that's very encouraging. The way the defense is playing, it's, as I said, I believe it's Kirby's best defense, no matter where he's been. I think that they're as fast, big, and physical as any defense he's had, and I believe, in the back of his mind, he kind of feels that too. So, the special teams has been a super big plus with Pod coming in and really solidifying the field goal kicking right now. And certainly Jake averaging, 51 yards and netting 47, almost 48, a complete flip of the field every time that Jake steps on the field. So I think right now Georgia is probably the most complete team that we've seen next to Clemson in the nation so far. You're going to probably see an Ohio State team that looks very similar and very efficient. But Georgia, from my aspect, I'm very excited. I think they got a great team, and I think they know they can get a lot better.
Z?
So I agree with most of that. I would give two of our units A's, maybe A pluses in the way the defense and the special teams units are playing. I think on the offensive side of the ball, we are still very much a work in progress. I think we've been good at times. I do think, as Kevin just mentioned, that we've made really good progress week over week, and where we faced a little bit stiffer competition on this past Saturday with Tennessee that was playing very good defensively. It's way too much inconsistency still on the offensive side of the ball, and it's really what you would expect because of the disruptions that we've had in the offseason, not knowing who the quarterback was going to be. Stetson's come in and has played very, very well and has been a calming influence to this offense. But I think that we are at the tip of the iceberg in terms of what this offensive unit can do. So if I were ranking us right now, I'd probably say B- on the offensive side of the ball, but trending in the right direction. So you do like where Georgia is right now, and you compare where we are against other teams that we've seen. We haven't seen everybody up close and personal, but when you put on tape, there's a lot to be desired by a lot of teams that are out there that they're shaking off rust themselves. So I would agree with Kevin's comments as well that Georgia is one of a handful of teams right now, very small handful of teams that you could say are playing at elite levels. I think we're going to see that with Alabama. I think Alabama, no question, they've had their struggles on the defensive side of the ball, but getting ready for this game, that Coach Saban and that staff, they will fix whatever they need to fix, and I expect just an unbelievable football game on Saturday night.
Do you guys think there's more to this game than Alabama's offense against Georgia's defense? Are there some underlying things that we're missing? Is it too easy just to say that that's kind of the matchup?
Well, I think that, the matchup is, just look historically at the last few matches. I mean, I think it's a complete football team challenge. And what I mean by that is either one of these teams, if somebody takes a play off, it's something that me and Eric have heard our whole career, don't ever take a play off. Well, this is a game, if you take a play off, that touchdowns happen, the turnovers happen, game-changing plays happen. And I think that both of these teams certainly respect that. I think the one thing that you really should look at, and I've been thinking about this, I really believe that as you guys call the game this week, there's going to be at least two instances where they're going to review and they're going to look at targeting. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I just think these two teams know how physical of a game is going to be. And I think they've had it, and I think they try extra harder. Things are going to happen faster. I think these two teams respect each other, but I think it's going to be a physical nightmare for these refs because these are two big teams that just go at it. And I think that that's what we're going to see. And I don't think we can emphasize the physicality of this game more because, we go back to the trenches and, that's where Bama's been dominant. That's where Bama's really beat us in the end. They got those extra chances. So we need to dictate that. We need to make sure that we have those extra chances. And I think Georgia's primed for it. I don't think this is a end-all be-all game because I really believe these two teams are going to meet again.
Yeah, and looking at our offense against their defense, that is the easy thing to talk about right now. When you look at how dominant Alabama's been, averaging over 50 points a game on the offensive side of the ball. They've got talent galore. They've got a great running back. They've got a quarterback that's playing very, very solid. They're good up front. So we know all of that. Our defense has obviously been playing as good a football as any defense in the country. But this is a full team, every unit. When you talk about our offense, our defense, our special teams, and there are intriguing matchups across the board. I really believe that the defensive performance we see from Alabama is going to be dramatically different. It's they got caught up into a little bit of a buzzsaw with Lane Kiffin and obviously going up tempo. There were some mistakes that were made. Coach Saban is not one of the greatest coaches of all time in the college game because he doesn't go in and make adjustments. He's going to go in. He's going to get right whatever was ailing them last week, and they are going to play very, very good. So our offense has to be up to the task. I expect a very physical football game. I expect games, quite honestly, that we've seen the past couple of times that we've met. It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be fast. It's going to be physical. Those that play without the mental mistakes and eliminate penalties and take care of the football, and those who were the team that wins the line of scrimmage is going to be the team that prevails. So it's much more than our defense against their offense. This is going to be a great football game against two of the elite programs in the country.
Z, how well do you remember that 10-0 game in Tuscaloosa? How physical was that game for you?
Well, I remember it pretty well because I had to sleep in a recliner for 6 weeks after that game because I couldn't lay down flat on my back. I don't remember who it was. He was number 34 and for Alabama. And
not our 34.
Not our 34. No, their 34. And he hit me one time that I still might have some damage internally from the shot that I took from him. But it was a physical game.
Georgia hasn't given up a rushing touchdown in a long time. They haven't given up a rushing touchdown to a running back since the 2018 SEC championship. Alabama was the last team to do that. You guys alluded to Najee Harris and what a game he had last week. And he's already got 10 rushing touchdowns. Do we see that streak come to an end this week?
Well, I would love to see that streak come to an end this week, but I think they're probably going to be determined to break that streak because that's who they are. I mean, watching last night the Titans play and seeing that big old number 22 that used to be at Alabama and how they use him just kind of, opened my eyes up to what I think Nick is going to do. He's going to come out and try to set it as a physical game, and he will make that run work one way or the other, and he's going to stick with it. I think that's who Bama is, and in order for them to have Jones at his best, they need to establish that run. So I think they'll be committed to it. Whether they choose to get that guy into the end zone down there or pass it, our defense will dictate that. But very strong running game they have, and they love it and they live by it. So it's going to be up to us to stop it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see very early in this football game just where we stack up, and it's when you go look at years past, that battle of attrition in the trenches, just as we've made our way through the games, that's where you would see Alabama's offensive line start to win that battle and start to take over, and some late comebacks, obviously, in a couple of different ways by by Alabama. This year is going to be a little bit different. We are as good as I've seen us up front. We were pretty good last year, but we are improved even from there with the strength of our defensive line in game after game through the first 3 games that we've seen. Our defensive line has owned the line of scrimmage. We're getting quick penetration. There's 0 push from offensive lines. And when you have that capability and you tie up offensive linemen and allow all of these great linebackers to run free and unencumbered, that's why we have so much success in the running game. I think we'll see that pretty early on. But to Kevin's point, Alabama's not going to go away from running the football. They know that is really what makes them run as well. They can throw it as well, of course, but they're going to give Najee Harris every chance to get into the end zone. They're not going to get away from what they do offensively. So it's going to be the greatest challenge that we've had this year, and it's going to be the greatest challenge that we've had since LSU last year in terms of the kind of offensive unit that we're watching on Saturday night.
Last question for you guys today. We had 2 linebackers that got national recognition this week, in Monty Rice and Azeez Ojulari, for their performance in the win over Tennessee last week. How vital is it that those 2 guys in particular, but our linebacking core as a group, have an outstanding game against this massively successful Alabama offense?
Well, I think it's imperative that they do. And I think it goes right back to what Z was just talking about, is that defensive line, the penetration they have, the demand for a double team on one of the guys when they're giving them trouble. That's what frees up linebackers. Maybe when the linebackers are accepting all these awards, they talk about themselves, but in that meeting room, those linebackers know why they're successful, and it's because of those guys up front. If they occupy those offensive linemen, the speed and the athletic ability of these guys, you just can't stop them. You talk about an Adam Anderson, too, that I think is probably quicker than all those guys coming around the corner. Azeez comes out and you put Adam in. There's no time off, and these guys are going 110%. So I think that they'll be definitely ready, and I think they have to be, Scott, they have to be a factor in the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if this game gets into the 30s, it really doesn't play into our favor. Again, I think we're going to see a dramatically improved Alabama defense. I think points are going to be hard to come by. It is really important that our defense continues the play that we've had, because if you get into a shootout with these guys, that doesn't bode well for Georgia. But if we get into a slugfest, that does bode well for Georgia. We're just better suited. We are better defensively than they are, although they're going to be greatly improved from what we saw. But on the defensive side, not only Monty Rice and Azeez, but everybody's got to come out and play at the levels that they're capable of playing. And if they do that, great defenses can shut down great offenses, and it's what we're going to need to see on Saturday.
Scott and Eric, I think the hidden factor this week might be Coach Cochran. He certainly fired up that Alabama team when he went into the locker room and told them that Georgia was in the black uniforms, but they just didn't know they were going to their own funeral. And it was kind of a funeral, unfortunately. But, I hope that he is able to fire them up. I'm sure he's talked to them this week, but I think you'll see a Georgia team go out there very fired up, but more importantly, very focused.
Good stuff, guys. And we want you to join us on Saturday for our broadcast. It starts at 4:00 Eastern time with Kevin and Jeff, Dog Talk pregame, 5:00 Eastern for the tailgate show from Tuscaloosa with Eric and Neil and Lauren and myself and the rest of the crew. And then stay tuned for a whole evening of Georgia football coverage. Kickoff at 8:10 Eastern time officially, according to the TV people. So, guys, it's good to see you. We look forward to working with you on Saturday. And thank you for joining us today. And go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.